All right, so Leonidas, in 1922, your Pro YiaYia, your great-grandmother, was born. That would have been February 1922, okay? And to put some things into perspective, yes, we had our Second World War in the 40s, in the 1940s, okay? So she had already been alive before our Second World War, which means she survived life through the Second World War. Okay, and that's when the whole world was at war. But the thing that's really important that you have to understand is our First World War was in the late teens of the 1900s. Like that 1917, 1918, 1919 type era, right? And if I remember correctly, each of the wars only lasted about 4 years. I'm not really that sure, son. My memory isn't that great. But the thing you have to understand is after the First World War, there was this thing called the Roaring 20s. Mm-hmm. The Roaring 20s, right? And it's when everything was good and life was roaring. It was prosperous. It was great after the First World War. But then something happened. I believe it was the stock market, right? That crashed in 1929. Okay? And that led to something called the Great Depression. There was no food, there was no drink, and there was no work. There was no work for families to do to get food and milk. So we had something called the Great Depression. Do you need a drink?
Yes.
Okay, let me get you a drink. So during the Great Depression, we had this thing called bread lines. And what it was is we were all, our society, our America, was so poor that the government...
Did you forget about my sheet?
I'm so sorry. The government had to come in and help us with food and water. And this is the part that's really important. Like, these bread lines, son, they were milk and bread. It wasn't like going to the grocery store. It really wasn't. It wasn't like going to Costco and coming out with a couple $100 worth of food, you know, and occasionally a new TV. These were... Pro YiaYia lived to be 102. And you got to understand, when the Great Depression happened, she was 7. Imagine being a kid like you and not having the lunch that we just ate and being hungry and only getting to eat a little bit of bread and a little bit of milk each day. And some days you didn't eat at all. And this is not an exaggeration. Mm-hmm. It was quite literally called the Great Depression. We had gone to war, we had a booming economy, and then everything crashed. Everything seemed perfect for everybody. Mm-hmm. They were celebrating, living life up, and then boom, everything fell out from underneath them. And the economy crashed. And when the economy crashes, there's no work and stability for other people. Right? And that means money isn't moving around. So when Mr. Keebler, I believe his name was Godfrey Keebler, started this biscuit and cookie company in the late 1800s, I want to say like 1897, okay? He had a small company out of Philadelphia, a little bakery, and he used to make cookies. And it wasn't even until like 1944, long after everything, that the Keebler company was a full-fledged company with a big biscuit company. He was still small during the Great Depression and all those other eras. After that, all the way into World War II, right? I believe he only had 16 cookie bakeries that he was working with that were selling his recipe, his Keebler cookie. So for a 7-year-old girl to survive the Great Depression and become like 9, 10, 11. Don't stick your fingers in your mouth. And to finally see a sweet cookie treat, something that had sugar in it, had flour in it, a yummy little treat, something that even had a little bit of chocolate on it. Son, you have to understand, this is through the eyes of a little girl who was poor and hungry and didn't get this kind of stuff. So when Pro YiaYia used to tell me the stories of the Great Depression, and then as she got older, she would get the rare treat of having a Keebler cookie. Son, that's a big deal to a little girl that didn't have anything. Yeah. It makes it a very, very special treat. In the world that we live in today, we have access to every kind of snack and every kind of cookie.
Snacks we didn't even think we needed.
Yes, and donuts and seasonings.
Yeah.
The reason Pro YiaYia went her whole life without putting any seasoning on her food is because when she was growing up, ate bread and water. That's it. They didn't have anything.
Yep. Spices were a luxury.
I see you eyeballing the cookie box over my shoulder.
Spices were a luxury.
I love the cookies though. I was looking at them, but I'm going.
Yeah, but this is what we're going to have for our treat.
You should have one.
And you need to understand how special these cookies are, because they may not look like anything special, but this was a treat that Pro YiaYia had. And I'm sure the recipe's changed a little bit.
I was just thinking to myself, I wonder if they changed the recipe at all, because if they haven't, man, that would be really something.
So this is a very special cookie, and it has a very special story to it. And it may look like a regular cookie, and
they're really good.
It may only have a little bit of chocolate on it, but son,
funny.
I want you to imagine being in, let's see, 1929, you know, I want you to imagine being in the 1930s or 40s and not having anything but bread and water to eat for days, weeks, and months, and you finally getting one of these. Okay?
Daddy?
Cheers, son. I'm making a mess.
Not so much.
What?
I really like it.
Eat up some.
Excuse me. My nose is running. The reason you need to understand there's nothing special to it, son, is because it was right after the war and right after the Great Depression. This is why I told you the story that I did. Because it's quite literally a cookie, a biscuit, with chocolate in it.
One is 20.
Son, long before.
Like I remember. Exactly like I remember.
Long before the Keebler elf, and long before the little magical tree, and their little fantasy-filled story of why the cookies are special. Keebler has such a deeper meaning and such a deeper flavor than what you're simply biting into, because in the 1920s and the 1930s, this was the cookie that brought joy and happiness to little boys and girls all over the United States, and especially here in Pennsylvania and the Philadelphia area, that didn't have any sweets, that didn't have candy, that didn't have sugar in their house. A lot of people were homeless, son. A lot of people were homeless. A lot of families were living in shacks together trying to survive. Oh man, they're good.
I was going to say, they're exactly the way I remember them.
Do you want some more?
I'll have one more. That'll be plenty for me.
One's enough for me.
Are you sure? I think I'm going to have 2 more.
Chocolate